I am the MotoGrapher, photographer, a long-distance motorcyclist, and an entrepreneur. And I'm trying to build an exciting living and working space bringing together my love for motorcycling, gadgets, and technology. A place unlike no other in India. This is the Motovilla.
Guys, welcome to the Garage Update 2022, and I'm going to start with the Mahindra Thar here because when we used to do motorcycling early 2000s, when I started, we used to call cars cages. I mean, they still are a cage technically because you are inside them, but let me tell you, this is the only cage I own, and I proudly say that I have a Thar. This generation of Thar is completely different than the previous one, and very frankly, I wouldn't have ever considered owning the previous generation Thar over this one because this is actually a daily driver as well, and this is the primary car for me, and this is my second car in my whole life, and I have owned more than 30 superbikes in the same span. So you can imagine that I don't change my cars that frequently. And I got this because it's smooth, it's powerful, 150 horsepower, petrol automatic, and reliability, it's never let me down. I've been all around India on this, Jaisalmer sand dunes to the snow, Ladakh, and it's just fantastic. And you cannot match the character of this car. Even people in cars which are worth more than 3-4 times, they actually stop to look at this. So this is the current livery of the Thar right now, and I just love how it looks, with it's like kind of an army kind of a green. But let's go inside. The first thing that we do before getting into the Motovilla is take off our shoes, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Because this is no short of a temple for me and for all petrol heads. I mean, there are gods inside, like god of machines. I mean, machines that are god themselves. So amongst other things, I've got a chance to show you that, we have been constantly upgrading the Motovilla. Every other week we have something new. For example, here we have this Godrej, very futuristic kind of a looking smart door lock with this camera. It just feels like a phone, You can also use your your fingerprint to actually open this. So, which is not set up right now. So otherwise I have to tell you the code, and of course it's very dangerous when you have machines like that inside, right? So I'll see you inside. So guys, welcome to the Motovilla or the garage or whatever you may want to call it. And here I'm surrounded with amazing machines. See, I can't even speak, I'm stuttering. So that's how I get goosebumps when I enter this place. Here I've got the Ninja S2, the world's fastest motorcycle, and of course it needs no introduction. This is one of the very few motorcycles, I think the only motorcycle to have achieved a status of a legend. Like, I think within a day of it being launched in 2014, I remember in EICMA, when it came out, I saw this motorcycle. I was there in flesh to see this, and it was mind-blowing, like built unlike no other. That's what Kawasaki says. Why I got this motorcycle is, there is no reasoning, there is no answer to that, because there is no competition to the H2. This is the only supercharged production motorcycle in the world if you don't count its other counterparts like the H2 SX or the ZH2. And I have had a lot of adventures with this motorcycle, not only here in India but also in Australia when I did 20,000 kilometers on NH2 over there. But that was a 256 rear wheel horsepower motorcycle. If you want to see those videos, go and see the link in the description or check out that placard over there. Talking about what I've done on this motorcycle, so basically it's kind of stock. Only the wrap is changed, the color is changed, because I like to treat my motorcycles as canvas, and I'm a graphic designer as well, so I just like to keep experimenting with basic colors and designs, nothing fancy. This one right now is my favorite, matte army green, olive green, and this is 19 years of XBHP livery over here. A few parts to ensure that if I have a fall, at least we can save whatever we can with the lever guards and with your standard sliders and stuff like that. So this one is a 2017 model. It has got up and down quick shifter, all in rear suspension, and it's also got cornering ABS. Of course, because it's not the 2019 one which had a color TFT, this The console of this motorcycle is much more industrial. I like that. The latest H2s, they also have self-healing paint. They also have other things like color TFT, you know, the LCD consoles. A lot of power, you know, right off the bat. So the stock H2, if I'm not wrong, if you want to buy right now, which you can't because it takes hell lot of time and into production after you place the order, it's 232 horsepower torque. Can you imagine what kind of insane power that is? But even without that, this bike has a lot kind of a two-stroke character, you know, I would like to call it like that, because of the supercharger. The way it delivers the powers is completely different than any other inline 4 liter class engine. There is no competition to this. If you have the money, if you can go for it, if you can source one, most importantly, go for it and buy it. Let's hear it. Whoa, gives me the shudders, you know, and that's what the H2 does. And I can also smell the fumes, the, you know, petrol fumes. And in a few years, you won't be able to smell those because everyone is going electric. There's one more machine here, and this is an actual Bajaj Chetta here, which has been converted into a sort of a bar table here. And we have kept it in the MotoGrapher. So it holds a few issues of the XBT magazine here, and amongst other stuff, we also have an ingredient which is very important for any kind of motorcycle, which is the engine oil. And this is Castrol Power Ultimate, who have been supporting me since a very long time. People actually, they ignore this ingredient because they think that what cannot be seen does not matter. It's not the truth, because if you know, if you have been doing long distance touring, if you have gone on the racetrack, or if you own a machine, or if you have experienced engine seizure or engine failure or something like that, you know how important oil is to prevent that. And I've been using Castrol Power Ultimate, different variants in all of my motorcycles here at the Motovilla, and not only here in the Motovilla but across the world. Let me tell you that you are talking about an oil which is made to the highest standards possible today, and this oil is officially used by many companies. It's used by Triumph, Kawasaki Australia. They also used this officially in the Ninja H2, which I used to go around Australia in 2017. You know, a lot of people ask me, do you even put the oil in your motorcycle, or just, you know, show it for the videos? No, we actually put this oil. It's being used in the motorcycles. There is no reason why I'm not going to use something which I'm going to say. And, you know, let me tell you one more thing. I give up on a lot of collaboration opportunities, ad opportunities. I always say no, because I'm not using the products, number one, and number two, I just don't want to get into those kind of things. None of my motorcycles ever had a problem, no matter on the racetrack or off it, or while long distance touring. Castrol has always had my back, and it's not only about the product, it's also about the philosophy of the company. You know, there are a lot of companies who are into CSR and stuff like that, but Castrol is one company who's been actually helping catalyzing the motorcycling community in India, and that is a very big thing. It has been actually enabling a lot of people, riders like me, to achieve their dreams. They're also supporting people like Rajni, you know, to go faster. He's the fastest Indian, you know that. So now let's talk about the bike here, which is gracing the moto kitchen here, and this one is the Ducati Street Fighter V4S 2021 model. And I got this one because this is the world's fastest and most powerful street naked motorcycle. Few people might say that it's the MV Gusta Brutale 1000, but that is also 208 horsepower. This is also the same, and to me, you know, this is much more available. This is much more supported, both in terms of after sales service, in terms of the accessories you can get, and it's just more wholesome motorcycle, you know. And of course, if you know that this is essentially a Ducati Panigale V4S without the fairing, and so it runs beautifully on the track as well. It's just a few ponies short of the Panigale V4S. I think that is 214, this is 208, and 199 kgs. And Yes, and you know what I have done to this motorcycle after getting it is, of course, change the liveries. The first one was the Joker livery. Some people hated it, some people loved it, and this one is one of my favorites, as is on the H2 and the Thar. This is the olive kind of desert green, and just makes the bike, you know, look more beautiful. So what I've done to this motorcycle is that I've got this rear wheel cover here. I've got a rear seat, and I've got a few matching you know, colored caps here for the reservoirs and the bar end here, and basically nothing else, because I believe, especially the exhaust. Now let me quickly talk about exhausts. You know, when you buy a motorcycle, you also tend to go for an exhaust. Do you calculate how much money you're spending for an exhaust? This exhaust full system would cost around 4 lakh rupees for the Ducati Street Fighter V4S, which is more than 10% of the cost of the motorcycle. You save a little bit more, at least you can get down payment for another motorcycle. Unless until you are a pro racer, I don't understand the need of an exhaust, very frankly. The motorcycle is already light, it's already powerful, it's already very loud. Now, this bike is the loudest of all the bikes which are there in Motovilla, and all the bikes which I've owned so far. I'm talking about stock sound. So let me quickly fire this up as well. So talk about keys. Keys need their own place to be kept, and this one is here, and well, this is the Ducati Street Fighter key. I don't know how many decibels is it, but this is like freaking loud, right? Damn, the V4 engine, it just cries out to be revved, you know, it just wants to go on the track or on the road. And let me tell you, you know, I mean, I've taken this on the racetrack, and these winglets, Ducati claims that, you know, at 280 kilometers an hour, they will give you a downforce of 29 kgs. I don't know how to measure that, but if I have not flipped or flown or whatever at the Booth International Circuit when I was 290 on this, I guess this must have worked, right? Let us go inside here. This is called the Motor Cave, and this is usually closed, but for you guys, you know, it was open already. And let me welcome you to another room here in Motovilla, which I call the Motor Cave, and there are a lot of motorcycles here. But first, let me talk about this one, the Ninja ZX10R 2022, and this is the latest motorcycle which I've got. June I got this motorcycle, and the reason why I got this is because I got the KTM RC8 also. That bike must have been the shortest time that I've owned a motorcycle for, the KTM RC8. But when I got it, I rode on the track, I realized, you know, I needed a part, I couldn't get it. Second, the bike lacked power. Initially it is good, compared with the modern super bikes, it lacks power. Of course, it's a rare motorcycle and stuff like that, but for me, I wanted something which is more accessible. You know, even if I fall on it, I at least get the spare parts. That's why I sold it in a month. I got a track machine made for the track, right? And the ZX10R is an amazing machine to ride on the road as well. I rode this bike after a long time, and it made me realize that liter class track motorcycles are so much light and compact than any other form of motorcycle, and it's just so easy to ride. There have been a lot of changes with this particular model. With the previous ZX10R, for example, I think the bars, they have been made wider, so it's easier to maneuver, and they have been brought a little bit closer to the tank, stuff like that, you know, which it just makes it easier to ride. And there is cruise control as well. I mean, who puts cruise control on a liter class track motorcycle? But Kawasaki has, and Kawasaki knows that most of the motorcycles, even though it's a racing bike, has, you know, they will be ridden on the road. And of course, this is a WSBK winning motorcycle, and of course that bike has got a lot of changes, but essentially that is the same motorcycle which you see, which is here. And what I've done to this bike, of course, there is no exhaust, money saved, right? But the color of the whole bike has been changed because of the wrap, and of course it has been inspired by the Ninja H2, and this is the black mirror or the black chrome wrap which I've got, along with the carbon fiber accents to it. This particular, the frame cover here, which enables me to basically, you know, put anything like a wrap or stickers on it, so it looks more integrated rather than a break, you know, in the graphics. And that's about it. And of course I've got the engine garden, usual, you know, stuff like that, nothing else. I also love how they've used the Kawasaki River Mark logo on this, because this is the only other motorcycle outside of the supercharged H2 range which uses this mark, because it's managed to win so many titles, so many accolades for Kawasaki. Sounds so beautiful, right? Like it's symphony, so smooth. Onwards to the next motorcycle here, which is the Triumph Rocket 3R. And this one is like, you know, when it came out, when I first saw that red rocket actually standing on the beach, you know, that one particular image which Triumph released, I was blown away. It's like it was something, you know, which was out of the world, very futuristic. And I never thought that a cruiser can actually look like that. Previous Rocket 3, it's like it was a legend, like the H2 or the Hayabusa, you know, stuff like that. The world's largest capacity production motorcycle. When they came out with this, they actually skipped a few levels of evolution and they straight away went into the future. And they shed 40 kgs. And why I have this in my garage is not because I'm a cruiser lover, because there is no replacement for displacement. So there is no replacement for a Rocket 3. That is what I believe. And because I'm a kind of a sports bike kind of a guy, I like to ride hard. You can ride any cruiser hard, but it also should support your style. You know, it actually should behave like that, like how you want it to. So this bike does that. You know, I've taken it on the track, and of course it's quite hard on the track to maneuver, but this, I just love it, how it handles, how it looks, how it goes. The perfect partner to the Ninja H2. And I've been having this motorcycle since 2 years. I got a brand new Rocket 3R red. This is actually red. I've changed the wrap to match the 19 years of XPHP color theme. What are the changes in this? These plates on the exhaust here, these are matte and these are original. These are replaced. Earlier they were titanium or silver. And I've got aux lights here which really help in touring. So I've got a custom seat, I've got rear custom wheel cover, and this is the kind of advantage which is there in single side swing arms. And there you have it. It's like a tank, you know, we have a tank in the house. So this is the key of the Rocket 3R, and you press this, the Wi-Fi signal kind of, you know, that connects to the motorcycle, not the Wi-Fi, just the symbol. And I just switch it on. You have to depress the clutch, because after all it's a very big engine, you don't want to take chances. And then two and a half liters. When you switch it on, the whole room shakes, but it does not shake like a motorcycle, which, you know, makes it shake. I'll show you which bike it is. Another thing which I've done is, of course, these are headlight covers here. I don't ride at night. 99% I'm not riding at night, but if I do, you can just take them off, and you can also just use the aux lights here. Now onwards to this bike here, which is the Indian FTR 1200S. This one is 2018 model. This was the first motorcycle to be sold in India, which I got in 2018, inspired by a flat track racer. The 750, the original 750. The Indian motorcycles usually are cruisers before the FTR came out. And this bike is 123 horsepower. It's got amazing torque, because of course it's a V2 in 1200. It's one of the most beautiful bikes ever made. A lot of people say that. A lot of YouTube videos have been made on that, and this one is also right now being wrapped in the livery, the standard livery which you see on most of my motorcycles, that is. It's just a little bit more simpler, so if I can say, but there's nothing simple about this motorcycle. In fact, this could be one of the most advanced motorcycles out there, because this is the only bike which has a color touchscreen for a console. You know, no other motorcycle that I have ever owned or come across has that. You can change how the console looks by just, you know, swiping up and down, and you know, you can do other things also, of course. Let me actually quickly start this as well. And let me tell you, if you're looking for a motorcycle which, on which you can do off-roading and which you can also take it on the road, and you want to be different, it's a rare motorcycle. It's as rare or even rarer than the H2 in India. Go for this, and you won't be disappointed, let me tell you. The new FTR, of course, is a little bit more road focused. The newer FTR has got 17-inch, like standard superbike tires, and it's your choice what you want. But this FTR Rally, which is still available along with the new FTR, still has this original setup. What I've done to this motorcycle, essentially, I've just got an Acra Powich aftermarket exhaust. This is the only motorcycle which I've got an exhaust on, because I was getting a huge deal on it, that's all. And then I got a rear seat cowl, and I've got your standard bark busters here. That's about it, there's nothing else. Now let's go and meet the big daddy which started the speed war, which is the Hayabusa Air. This is a third generation Hayabusa 2021. Needless to say, an amazing machine. Why I got the Hayabusa? Because there is no comparison, and when you, this is one of the very few motorcycles which you sit inside, like not on. It feels like basically there is a cockpit, you're flying a plane ahead of you, and it's just legendary. That's it, and everyone was expecting that the third generation Hayabusa will be force induction. It's not. In fact, it has less power than the second generation, but the overall package is much faster. It's got loads of electronics. Let me actually switch this on as well. This bike's bass is unmatched. For some reason, the bass which this has is mind-blowing. So this is the bike that I was talking about as far as the bass is concerned, that it's unmatched. So guys, I want to show you one more motorcycle, the bike which started for me all 20 years ago, and that bike is here in this room, which is called the Moto Gym. This place is, of course, to exercise and to respect your body. This bike here is the most suited motorcycle, because if you remember, this bike, when it came out, the tagline was definitely male, had a muscular tank, and these are the talking points of the motorcycle. The Pulsar 180 Classic was my first motorcycle in 2002 with front disc brakes. This was kind of a revolution, because this was from an Indian manufacturer, actually focused on looks and performance. It's probably the Hero Honda CBC was there, but this was faster than that. And boy, I mean, the naked Street Fighter looks, they actually grew so much upon me that my favorite genre of motorcycles are naked street fighters. And this bike actually is not the original one which I had, not the same one, but this is actually a 2002 model which I had to source, and I finally found it thanks to people online. I got it from Siliguri in West Bengal, and this was purple, and then I wrapped it in silver, because my first motorcycle, the Pulsar 180, was in silver. This bike is a legendary motorcycle. This, in fact, is the most precious of them all. You can't get this bike anymore, and this bike actually runs. This bike deserves to be here. There is one more thing which I have here, which is not exactly full-blown motorcycle, but it is somewhere near that. Come on. As we walk through the Moto Gallery here and go to level 1 of the Moto Villa. Of course, as you know that it's, unless until you have a big lift, it's not possible to get a motorcycle on the first floor or any other floor other than the ground floor. But here I'm going to show you something which is a little different. So of course, this is the launch that we have. And we also have, let me show you very quickly, a few electric bikes in the other floors of the Moto Villa like this. This is a Ducati Panigale here. This is the Moto Arcade, and there is something which is very different here, and I would like to count that as part of my garage, because here we have the fastest Cyber Apache, and this is a project that we made last year, and this is basically 3D printed almost and hand sculpted. It's basically, I call this floor top. You have desktop, you have laptop. This is floor top because of the size. Of course, this is shaped after the TVS Apache RR310. Other than that, this also has wings which open up. So here is the starter, your standard starter. So you can switch it on with the starter, and I've also got a racing rig attached to it, and of course you play it over here. This is a 75 inches LG nano cell. So this whole rig is basically a bridge between a real motorcycle and an electric motorcycle. For all practical purposes, this is an electric bike to surf the information superhighway. This bike is something very special, something very close to my heart, because I always wanted to build something like this. This room is one of my favorite rooms because it's got a lot of stuff, but we'll talk about that later. So guys, there you go. This is the end of August 2022, and these are the machines that I have right now. And let me tell you that I don't even know when it became a race, because a lot of people actually started calling me a collector. I'm not a collector at all, you know. Collectors are people who collect motorcycles. I mean, who like to increase their collection. I am not like that. Don't fall for this kind of a thing that you have to buy new motorcycles every now and then. I only buy bikes which are conducive to a project that I'm doing, because this is also my work. For example, if it's the world's fastest bike, the world's fastest street naked motorcycle, the world's largest capacity motorcycle, stuff like that. And it's a dream, of course. Who doesn't want 100 motorcycles? But all I can say is that you have to utilize your money very intelligently, and you need to know what stuff to buy. It's not only about motorcycles. When motorcycles are a depreciating assets, whether you want to believe it or not, you have to invest in appreciating assets also. It's not always that you keep buying stuff which actually depreciates and a new version comes out. You understand what I mean. Of course, some motorcycles we get very close to, for example, our first motorcycle, or maybe a motorcycle that we probably did whole of India, stuff like that. This brings me to the point that there is one bike which I'll be selling amongst the ones which I have right now, because there is something which is going to come which is better, bigger in a lot of ways. And of course, like I said, we need to manage our money very wisely. So, but which bike is that, you'll get to know in the next video, and of course a little bit more why I sold that motorcycle. So catch you in the next one, and peace out, ride safe.
In 2002, I found xbhp.com, which became India's most popular motorcycling platform and community, and then a print magazine as well. Since 2006, I have been riding around the world on choicest of bikes and sometimes cars too. Along the way, I picked up the bug for collecting stuff after the end of every ride that I did. This led to the building of XBHP headquarters, which also showcased my collection. And eventually the place itself became quite interesting, with a lot of people coming to visit and shoot it, even though it was a very small place. But as we know, places become big with the ideas they give birth to. Finally, in 2021, we decided to try and build a space which would not only serve as the XBHP headquarters, but also it will be an experience and space unlike anything else in India so far. A man cave, a living space, a working space, a gaming space, showcase of our collection, and integrating some of the best gadgets and lots more. And we call this the Moto Villa.